Hi everyone, it's a pleasure for me being here with you. I'm Michela Schenette, I'm a professor of the University of Bologna in Italy, and my research field is outdoor education, especially outdoor learning and the professionalism of educator and teacher that are involved in preschool services. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to reflect together on the topic um, on the value of learning and empowerment in the nature. So, many thanks to Professor Dang from South Dakota, USA, and Professoressa Lovig Larsen from Norway that invited me to have this speech on behalf of a good collaboration in an experimental international classroom project. So, hi to everyone again. Today, we will try to concentrate our attention on the process of learning and on the process of empowerment that the outdoor setting can provide. In this presentation, we will discuss how the outdoor experiences can empower the children, what does learning mean, and what does learning, especially into the nature, mean, how the outdoor experience can empower also teachers, and which are the conditions and the tools necessary in order to empower this learning process. Ready to go? We will start by the empowerment for kids. It seems almost obvious that a factor of empowerment for kids in preschool services is autonomy, but it is not entirely true. Often, preschool services are not very good in ensuring the autonomy that children need. Oh, I'm sorry. I try to explain myself. When we share our artificial places with children, often we choose what a child can do and what he, she, they cannot do. We also choose which experience of autonomy child age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can do. We let them do experiences of autonomy that we, first of all, that we consider useful for him, her, or we consider enough safe, for example, for him or her. I guess that there are so many differences between our country and between our culture about this. Outdoors autonomy is different, in my opinion, for many reasons. For example, in order to go outside, it's necessary to improve the autonomy, the children autonomy to dress up and undress, the autonomy to move in any way, the autonomy to choose what to do, when and with whom do something. So, another important empowerment in connection with this is the competence of choice that is so important for our kids and so difficult to build in an artificial context with too many of structured materials, too many toys and too many activities that drives a lot the behaviors of children. When we think about empowerment, we can't forget the importance and the opportunity to allow children to do experiences in the real life. These experiences are sometimes difficult, are sharp, are surprising, and put us to test. They are challenging. But for this reason, exactly for this reason, they are so important in response to the kids' evolutional needs. The real empowerment, in my opinion, is to allow children to be in relation with themselves, in relation with themselves means listen to themselves, that is mandatory in order to choose place, materials, experiences, but also to do experiences with their own body and became aware of themselves. But also outdoor space can put kids in relation with the others, because when we are free to choose and free to learn, we need to connect with others in order to share experiences, discovers, and plays. This means giving the children the opportunity to improve their emotional and social competence. And the empowerment is also meant to provide children the opportunity to be in relation with the world, in relation with the multiplicity of its living being. And all this give the children the opportunity to tell their history, permit them to feel part of the world, and to transform the places where our kids live in lived place, in place in which we can point out courage instead of the fear. There are so many author theory that are going in this direction, but it's so important remember to point out the difference between artificial places and natural one. What does learning mean? I often ask to teachers to reflect on it. Let's start to their perspective. From teachers, learning comes from a spark of amazement. Learning is born in the senses and through the senses. It develops in the relationship with others and with the world. It's an experiential process and it's partial and never finished. It's so important starting from teachers, because the influence of teachers is so big in develop preschool services that are able to be like learning environment. But we will go on. What does learning in nature mean? In my perspective, learning in nature is so important and interesting because often is heuristic. Is heuristic because it happens by discovery, but also is active because it's experimented, is thoughtful because it stimulates question during the process and not after the process, is significant because it affects the children that can choose to be there or not. It's complex because it's not limited to just a specific knowledge and discipline. And it's inclusive because it's for everyone and start from everyone motivation. Do you agree with me? I hope so. I will try to explain with Margaret Carr contribute. She's a New Zealand academic, full professor in education at the University of Waikato, and she wrote a book that I think is so interesting. The title is Assessment in Early Childhood Settings: Learning Stories. And she wrote that there are clues to understand when there is an ongoing learning process that involve children, also if teachers doesn't drive it. These clues are, let's see together. The first one, take care. Take care is the capacity to pay attention to something. And we know that children from 1 to 6 years old are not, for them, is not so easy to take care from something, to be concentrated for a long time. This is the first clue. The second one is get involved. That means the capacity to stay involved in or with something, to stay there. And the third one is persist in difficulties. That is the capacity to persist in difficulties and to move forward in any case. Don't stop it, don't let it know, but go on. Another one is the capacity to express idea or a feeling and try to thanks to the tendency to say something during the process, something that we need to go on or something to catch the attention of somebody around. And the last one is take responsibility. This happens when the children contact a peer or teacher saying, look and see what I have discovered. Or shall we try again to do these things? I'm sure that you get it. Go on a little bit. In this direction, in the direction to sustain spontaneous learning, teacher should remember that outside more than inside, we have the opportunity to listen to the kids. Also, to those children that often we unintentionally ignore because they are slower or to answer or because they are more shy or less visible. Look at all of them to capture their interest, their questions, their evolutionary needs is so important. But also learn the importance, the value of the competence to listen to ourselves like adults, like teachers, like subject, in order to be engaged in the real listening of children. We have to listen before on us to try to understand the others and not to do confusion. If we don't pay deep attention on kids, our choices are likely to correspond more to our interests as adults rather than theirs as children, as kids from Norway kids, or USA kids, or Italian kids. To look at the children with awareness and intentionality is so important in order to reflect on what happened and what is necessary to organize context, to choose materials, furniture, and so on. Look at this picture. This is, in my opinion, a really beautiful picture. I received like a present from a teacher, and I think that this picture can remember us all that the present of the adults is never neutral. Is never neutral. Our present is never neutral. We always have the responsibility to choose what to allow or what to forbid, what is learning and what is not, what is important, for example, to document or to communicate. If we don't document or communicate something, then it seems it doesn't exist or it doesn't be possible, for example. So it's good to ask to ourselves why is important for the educator and teachers to sustain the outdoor experiences and how the outdoor experiences can empower teachers. Italian and international researchers in this field underline that in the outdoor, in the preschool garden or in the natural places, um, adults feel well for many, many reasons. for the attention restoration theory considered by Kaplan and Kaplan, for example, because the open space involved the children and they are more engaged, more concentrated, and for this reason they are less competitive and so on. Outdoors, the adult realize that there are many things that he or she still doesn't know, and that it's important to stay in relationship with the kids and with the world, in relation with the kids and with the world that involve that welcoming kids and adults together, because the adult that is aware of his her lack of knowledge start to research, sit down with the kids and research with them, start to ask questions rather than be worried of not having answer, for example. They come close to the children to learn and to sustain the experiential learning. Start to do again themselves experiential learning process. With the natural experience, teachers rediscover the power of their sensorial perception, rediscover the value of their body in education, and rediscover the importance of letting children learn as peers, each others, and not to drive everything. But also consider that in order to understand the complexity of the educational outdoor experience, specific methodologies and tools are really needed. When we open the door of our educational services to outdoor spaces, we expose our relationship with children to complexity and to unexpected events. We don't know will happen outside. The external contexts are in fact less structured and for this reason more flexible. They offer so many stimuli and allow a multiplicity of learning. Outdoor, it's easier to see children free, curious, and busy. But for the adult, it becomes more difficult to understand what is happening and if the children are learning, for example. The adult in this direction risk to think of losing control and sometimes risk to think of to waste time, but it's not real, it's not true. This means that each of us will have to train a lot in the observation and to remember that it's extremely important to have some good question in mind in order to catch something. Otherwise we risk of seeing everything without looking at anything. Good question can drive our observation work, allowing us to support experience and to document the learning processes that will arise. If we don't look deeply, we can't understand how and what the children learn, and we cannot rethink places, material, and experiences. If we don't look deeply, we will not be able to tell the parents the value, for example, of these experiences acquired during the day. The process, in my opinion, is circular, but like a spiral. There is not beginning or end, but there are important steps, important phases to support the process of learning and empowering for both adult and kids. Something to remember: giving children the opportunity to stay, play, and experience in small group support the importance of their emotional and social skills, and at the same time consider the connection of the context that must have the characteristic of learning environment and not artificial hyperstructured place. These underline the need to dismiss our, like adult, involved in preschool services, traditional habits and behavior in the preschool, and to catch the real interest of kids that drive every day with us, share every day with us. I'd like to share with you something that I wrote to explain the role of the adult involved in outdoor experience. This is meant to sustain teachers to implement outdoor education and learning here in Italy, where we are not enough used to it. I think it can be a nice summary of what we have said so far. I will try to read it for you. The adult in nature is a silent observer that accompanies, is an active protagonist who, with a respectful look and presence, supports and encourages the discoveries and exploration of boys and girls, is against the adult tendency to anticipate answer and to act in place of children, is determined to bring back experiences of beauty and authenticity. She strengthens the natural push for children's research by building up, for and with them, learning environments emotionally qualified, listens carefully to the curiosity, the thought, the questions, the answer, and the theories that arise from the embrace with the natural environment, keeps track of this investigative path through a richly detailed and emotionally dense writing, retains interest by promoting topics and questions, does not escape in self-herself experimentation, aware of the fact that he or she never ended up learning and questioning. She know how to feel is her eyes and heart with amazement and wonder, but above all, she know how to enjoy the constant and daily contact with nature. I will thank you very much for your attention. I hope that you have been fascinated and involved by the content, and I wish you all the best for your life. And please be sure to seek contact with nature because it's important for you and it's important for the kids that you are meeting in your present and in your future. Bye. Thank you so much.